Good morning, welcome to the Sports Show. Hope you're well, hope you're doing good. It is absolutely peeing it down right now. So listen, I want to talk about managing emotional reactions. Now, I will put my hand up and be the first to put my hand up to say that I haven't in the past always reacted well emotionally to certain circumstances that are happening within our own life. I've flown off the handle too quickly, I've snapped too quickly, I've made assumptions too quickly, and I've got it wrong. And in an emotional state, we don't listen properly, we don't read things properly, we don't read the situation properly, we don't make the right decisions, because we're acting from an emotional state rather than a logical state. A logical state being somewhere where we can actually take into consideration everything that's going on around us and make sense of everything. And emotional is when we suddenly react too quickly without thinking about it. Now, how do we get into putting ourselves in a more logical state of mind rather than an emotional state of mind? So let's have a look at some examples of when we might go off the handle emotionally. Now, someone might say something to you. Somebody might have written something. Somebody might have sent you an email, or it might be a social media post. You might be watching a video. You might be watching a situation. It might be happening and building up in your work environment, at home environment, and it's kind of building up. Now, one of the things that I honestly feel that we could do, and there's a couple of sort of tips and tricks here that I guess over the years I've built up to allow myself to become a little bit more emotionally conditioned. And talking about this really was triggered from playing football on Saturday, and I watched one of our younger lads accidentally get elbow in the face. And I watched his face and I watched his reaction immediately as he went then to follow on for the tackle, intentionally trying to hurt the other guy. Completely lost his head. So how can we get better at that? Well, I think we have to kind of set and create rules for ourselves to stop that emotional trigger. We need to be able to block the signal from emotional thought to action. Because quite often when we react emotionally, we tend to regret what we've done. Look at people that have been in fights. They've knocked people out. They've ended up going to jail. You know, that's worst case scenario. Or maybe something in everyday scenario is saying something to the wife that you don't mean. Saying something to a friend you don't mean. Reacting badly, making yourself look like even worse. So we can have some rules. Now, some of the things that I have is that, let's go, Jesse. One of the things that I have is that I mustn't react for 24 hours. So always sleep on it. So if something is said or done, my first thing is to always think, right, I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to let it go. By doing that, the very next day, the likelihood is 90% of the things that you're getting emotional about won't even matter. That emotion would have died down. Logic would have come back in, and you put into perspective actually the situation. You go, well, you know, I wasn't even going to solve anything there by losing my rag. Other things that we can do when we need to be in the immediate sort of moment is kind of have little things like recognizing and raising your self-awareness that you can feel the emotion building. If you like, it's like this tidal wave that builds up and it's ready to slam down and take every fucker out. And you can feel that as somebody is saying something, as you're reading something. You can feel your heart pounding faster. You can feel the beads of sweat on your head. You can feel like you're about to go supernova. So I think one of the things that we have to be able to do is be able to stand up and walk about. Whenever I've had this, I walk about and I count to 10. And I try to think about everything around me that is positive. Everything. And as I'm doing that, that gets me in the habit of then talking to myself and having that conversation in my head. Sleep on it, don't react, don't write anything down. And that builds up a conditioning for you not to react. And the more that we do that, the better you get at it, the more automated it becomes, the slicker we become in terms of managing our emotions. One of the things I do is write a reply. I write a reply and then I delete it, because what I'm doing is getting out what I really want to say. But the deciding factor is that I don't actually send it. Okay, I will wake up the next day and write something more constructive or say something more constructive. That doesn't leave me getting into shit. The more that we do anything, the better we become at it. And I think emotional conditioning is something that we have to practice regularly. I mean, everyday life, exactly, you know, there's opportunities to improve on our doorstep all of the time. Things that trigger us, things that create that emotional stress where you get pissed off. So I think it's just a case of recognising it, acting on it, and reviewing it, and just getting better and better and better all the time. You know, I used to be quite an emotional character back in the day. And I look at quite a lot of the stuff I used to get stressed about or pissed off about or emotional about, and I'm pretty placid on it these days, you know. And my partner, Jem, said to me, you're a lot more relaxed about things these days. And I think that's just because over the years, I've been practicing the emotional conditioning. I've been like putting into action a lot of the things that I've been talking to you about. So naturally, in that sense, when something triggers me emotionally, I really just put it into perspective. And I think if you can practice doing that, you too will be able to get into that level of conditioning where things just bounce off you. You build that force field, you put things into perspective, and you realise that a lot of the things you lose your rag about are not worth losing your rag about. Anyway, I hope that helps. Just a nice little chat about emotions, controlling your emotions. I think we can benefit an awful lot. Let's go, girl. I think we can benefit an awful lot from managing our emotions. We can get a lot more out of life, a lot more enjoyment, rather than letting everything sap our energy and our time. Guys, hope you have a great day. I'll catch up with you soon.